let's be honest, most parents these days want a daycare if they're sending their kids to daycare with some kind of preschool curriculum. Now, I definitely believe in a play-based approach, but because this is what most families are looking for, this is something I offer in my daycare. Hi guys, my name is Sarah. I am a daycare provider in my home to up to 10 children. I have 2 little girls of my own, Celia and Bryony. Celia is 4.5, Bryony is 2, and I have a very busy husband who's a chef named San, and we have a crazy daycare life, and if you are a daycare provider, you know how it goes. So I thought today, since it's about 2 months into the school year, I would talk about my preschool routine. This is my 5th school year doing a preschool routine, if I'm doing the math right, and I think I've really fine-tuned it, but I have done something different every year with every group because every group has been so different. Some years I've had morning nappers, sometimes I haven't, sometimes I've had infants, sometimes I've had tons of toddlers, sometimes I've had mostly older kids, like it just really depends. So I've really figured out what works for the most part, but I'm able to adapt. So I thought I would share what's working for me right now. And I asked on Instagram, if you're not following me, make sure you do. I'm at Sarah WLG. I love to post behind the scenes stuff of my life, of my daycare, motivational stuff, tips and tricks for moms. And also, if you are a busy mom, consider joining our Facebook group. It's called Work Life Glue Moms Group. It has over 450 members, only not even 2 weeks in, and it's been just so helpful for me and helpful for a lot of the people in there, for moms who are trying to enhance and up-level all areas of our life. So that information is in the description. So I had asked people on Instagram, what do you want to know about my preschool routine? So I'm going to try to incorporate the answers into this video without it getting too long, but I love to be as detailed and thorough as possible. So I'm not going to take you on a tour of my room. I will link to my daycare tours below because I have a ton of them, but I am going to just walk you through what my preschool time looks like. So right now, as of filming this, it is going to change, and I'll talk about that, but right now I have 2 18-month-olds basically, a just turned 2-year-old who is my daughter, so I consider that 3 toddlers because they're very much toddlers. I have a just turned 3-year-old, a 3-year-old who's about to turn 4, and then I have 3 4-year-olds. So altogether right now I have 8 kids. Pretty soon an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old are going to be moving, and another 18-month-old and a 3.5-year-old are going to be starting, and a new baby that is 3 months old are going to be starting. So that will change things a little bit, and I could probably film a whole new video on that, but I'm going to try to talk about, you know, what I do with infants and stuff like that in this video. So what I do, I am open 7 to 5. We have breakfast around 8. We have to have a very structured routine because I have preschool buses that come in the morning and the afternoon. I have 2 kids right now who do preschool, but they do it at different times. So I have to make sure we are upstairs in the dining room when that happens. So that really dictates when meals are and that kind of thing. So we have breakfast. The morning preschooler gets picked up around between 8 and 8:30. So around 8:30 we head back down after breakfast into this room. They play for about 15 minutes. We clean up, and then at 8:45 is when I start preschool time, and I try to be done around 9:30. So typically my preschool time lasts 45 minutes. Some days it's shorter if they just don't have the attention span, or it's a beautiful day and we want to get outside, or we have, you know, a Halloween party or whatever, or if the kids are really sick, or if I'm sick. And some days we go longer if they're just really into it. It depends on the day, it depends on what we're doing, and it depends on, you know, how everybody's feeling. But that's my goal, 45 minutes. And I try to split it up so that sometimes we're on the floor, sometimes we're at the table, sometimes we're moving, sometimes we're not. So we're not just like sitting and it being expected to sit the whole time because they're little. So the very first thing we do after we clean up is sit down and read a book. That is my transition activity. This is different this year. I haven't always done it that way, but it's just worked really well for the kids. It's easy for them to sit down if they're going to be engaged in a book, and they love reading, so it's a really fun thing. But before we read, we always do Lori Berkner's "These Are My Glasses, This Is My Book" song. I love using songs for transitions. We sing a lot of songs during our circle time, as you will see, and the kids love it. And I used to think the repetition of the same exact songs over and over would get boring. The kids love it. They sing them all day. Repetition is great for kids, and we have actions to the song. So I'm going to show you on my phone. I just literally go to YouTube and type in, these are my glasses, Lori Berkner, and the one I pick is this one because it doesn't have the intro. I'm not gonna play it because of copyright issues, but I'm gonna sing it for you guys, and we sing it 3 times, and these are the actions. Forgive my singing voice. These are my glasses, this is my book. I put on my glasses and open up my book. Now I read, 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 and I look, look, look. I put down my glasses and close up my book. And we do that 3 times. So I always start with, did you guys bring your glasses and your book? And they think it's so funny because they know I'm, you know, referring to this. And we sing it 3 times. The kids like to sit in chairs right now. I don't know why, so I just kind of let them, sometimes we sit on carpet squares, sometimes we just bring the chairs and they sit out in front of me, sometimes they sit on the floor. I just kind of go with what they want because if they get to choose, they sit better. So we do the song 3 times and then we always read a book. We try to read 3 books a day. Because I have a younger group, that's about all we can handle right now. When I had an older group, we could do like 4 or 5 books a day or whatever. We read 1 book during circle time and then we read 2 more during snack time. If you watch my day in the life videos, which I'll link a playlist below, you've seen me read, you know, during snack time. So we read a book to the kids, you know, sometimes it fits with their theme. I try to often do a book that teaches some kind of lesson or is a song book or, you know, fits with something I want them to learn, like some kind of life lesson or character trait, just because I feel like they're really focused at this time and we have the time to kind of chat about it during this time. But this one was great because it was funny and there's repetition and that kind of thing, foreshadowing. So we do that. Then we look up here on our little board and we look up who is the line leader. We talk about that. I just printed off names in a cute font. And then we have our question of the day. Like today it says, who are your sisters? Those are my question of the day cards in my Teachers Pay Teachers. So I will ask that question and then I will ask all the kids, you know, I'll say, how many sisters do you have, Celia? How many sisters do you have, Bryony? How many sisters do you have, Sally? And we talk about it. It really gives the kids a chance to speak and everybody to listen and take turns and they feel heard, which is important, especially in a group setting where you don't have a lot of one-on-one. And then we do our feeling card. I just picked these up at a local teaching store. It was like a big poster that I cut down. And so we will talk about what is that child feeling. So we name the feeling. We talk about why do we think he might be feeling that way? When have you felt that way? And I try to let the kids kind of just answer. You know, I've done this in the past. If they have a hard time speaking individually and not interrupting, I've used like a talking ball, or you could have a talking stick, talking rock, you know, sky's the limit, talking toy. So that is an option. Right now my kids are really good about listening to one another, and even the 18-month-olds who can't really talk, I still give them a chance to talk. I ask them, you know, they might just say yeah or smile at me, but it's still getting them engaged. So I try to just get everybody engaged. For the most part, my age group, they all sit during this time. I do put one of my 18-month-olds in a frog seat because otherwise she's literally one of those who is going to be like hitting everybody or throwing toys off the shelves or climbing on the table or ripping stuff off the walls. So I contain her into the seat for that, and she doesn't fight it or anything. She likes being engaged, but she just has trouble, you know, like stopping for a second. And you know, I think that's great for toddlers, but because I want to teach all the kids, I'm trying to teach them like during this 10 minutes we all sit down. That's about how long this actual circle time part takes, is about 10 minutes. Sometimes we will go over our green and red choices. I got those from Pocket of Preschool. And then usually I have a card. So I use the FUNSHINE Express curriculum. I really love it. This is my 4th year using it. If you have never tried it before and want to get $40 off your first order, I have information in the description for how to do so. I definitely think it's worth checking out if you haven't before. So usually there's some kind of song every day we will sing, and sometimes we make up actions, sometimes we move around and dance. It just really depends. If we're learning a letter that day, there's always a letter song. and we learn the sign language for it. Sometimes we're learning a number, so we'll have like a number song, or we'll count, or we'll find, you know, 5 different things. If we're learning 5, we'll you know, go around the room and figure out something that has 5 something in it or whatever. So I just, you know, try to be dynamic and change it up each day. We also review our letters every day using this Alpha Block book. I love this. It taught my older daughter all her letters and the sounds by age 2. Granted, that's just her jam. She loves letters. She's very close to reading and just on her own without us really even working with her on it. But we bought her this book and she just devoured it and was like, what does this sound? What's this sound? What's this sound? And so basically it has cutouts. So it, like, the letter turns into the picture. So A is for apple. B is for balloon. C is for cookie. And when the kids, I feel like when they learn a word and it's like memorized that starts with that letter, they can figure out what sound it makes once they're old enough to really grasp that. So if they're like, if they know A is for apple, they can figure out that A makes a sound. So it's really helped the kids. So we just go as far as we've learned so far. So right now we've gotten to E. So every day we go read through E, and then once we've learned F, we'll go through F. So this is really great. This is my second year using that. And then sometimes the curriculum will have like something else you're supposed to talk to the kids with, or a game, or, you know, something like that that we'll sometimes do during preschool time as well. And then another thing we always do is calendar and weather. Okay, so here are our calendar, weather, and other, you know, shape, number, and color board, and our word wall words. This is all FUNSHINE Express stuff. So every day we do our weather, our calendar, and we do our weather chart. So I have a song, actually two songs that go with this and one song that goes with this. And I let the line leader help, and sometimes I let the line leader, if they're able to, I let them totally lead this. I just think it's really fun to watch them teach and lead and figure it out on their own, and the kids love it. So we do that sometimes. So basically what we do, we figure out the day of the week, and then we sing the days of the week song. So we go to figure out what day it is. Like, this would be backwards if this were today. This would be backwards. So we'd go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they'd all yell Friday. So we'd know it's Friday. And then we go days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week. And then we go, there's Sunday and there's Monday, there's Tuesday and there's Wednesday, there's Thursday and then they all jump up and go Friday, and then there's Saturday, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week. And then, since this is normally taped on backwards, we go through and we count and figure out what the number is on here. And sometimes I start at 1, sometimes I start at 10, and sometimes I start at just a random number to try to get them to be able to learn to count without starting at 1 or 10 every time. And then we figure out, we do the pattern. So usually I start a little closer. So we'll go orange, green, black, orange, green, black, orange, green, and then they'll tell me black, and then I say what picture is on all of the blacks. So it's getting them to think in another way. So they're looking at the blacks, and then they yell tractor. And so then I'll say, so you told me it's 18 black with a tractor. Did we get it right? And then they cheer, and they're so excited that they figured it out. I love doing it this way, making it a game where they have to figure something out. They're learning patterns, they're learning counting, they're learning like image recognition, they're learning colors. Like, there's so much learning through this. I love it. So that's what we do there. Like, it's less about learning the days of the week, which is a great skill to have, you know, a great thing to know, but it's way more about all that other stuff, that the critical thinking, that's way more important in my opinion. And then we do calendar. So the song we sing I got from the Gee Whiz curriculum, which was the first curriculum I ever used. I would recommend it, but it was still just a lot of like having to go buy stuff, but it's much cheaper and it's online, so that is an option if you're interested. But I made up my own actions based on the signs for the different types of weather. So it's weather, weather, what will it be? Is the sun out or will it rain on me? It might snow or be windy too. The sky might be cloudy or be bright blue. Weather, weather, what will it be? Is the sun out or will it rain on me? And then the kids all run to the window. They tell me what the weather is. The line leader will stick it on the chart, and then I'll like move this to windy, and then I'll ask them what the temperature is like outside, and we'll move that. And then we'll usually move to the table. So the weather is our transition to the table because they're all up looking at the weather anyway over at the window, which is where the table is, and then we move to the table. Sometimes we'll talk about this stuff and review our word wall. Sometimes we don't. I don't put a lot of pressure on that. So let's head over to the table. Okay, I'm here at my preschool table. It's basically these two blue tables put together. Right now, the way it's configured, it seats 6, but I can pull it away from the wall and it will seat 8 if we need to. So a lot of people have asked what I do with infants and toddlers during preschool time. As much as possible from the beginning, I try to get the toddlers involved in the circle time. I try to get them sitting. I try to get them engaged as much as possible, just because it's a lot easier for everybody to focus if they're focused. And I want them to learn that this is just part of our day. We can sit for 10 minutes. It's not a big deal. But occasionally they'll run off and look at a book or play. And as long as they're not bothering everybody, that's fine with me. But then once we transition to the table, usually I will pull out a few bins of special toys they don't play with very often and put those on the floor and let them play. Now, I have had in the past where some toddlers will scream bloody murder because they're not part of it. I will try for a couple weeks to just let them scream, encourage them that they have special toys to play with, and when they're old enough, they'll get to sit with us. But, you know, if it's that big of a deal, I will sometimes set them at the table to color and just try different things. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer for that. You just have to try what works. Maybe that kid just needs a little snack. But then, you know, do all the kids want snacks? Like, you run into those issues. But I try my hardest to just have them play. Sometimes I do let them all do the craft because it's age appropriate for them. You know, there's nothing that's gonna hurt them. They're not gonna get it all over their body or whatever. But sometimes I don't, and I just really wanna focus on the older kids who are able to do the craft, and, you know, developmentally it's more appropriate for them. Right now, most of my toddlers just don't really care. And so they're happy playing for the most part most days. And so I think it's just because I'm really consistent about it. And I don't word it like, you can't do this. I'm like, look at the fun toys you get to play with. What are you gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and they're just at this age where they just want to run around anyway. So they don't really care that they don't have to sit down. The older kids, most of them love preschool time. They don't fight it. I do have one child who occasionally will just say, I don't want to do it, and I don't put any pressure on it, and I say, okay, that's fine, you can go play. And if all the kids were like, I don't want to do this, and I, you know, encourage them a little bit, like, oh, it's going to be so much fun, and they still didn't want to do it, I'm not going to force it. I don't want the kids to hate learning. The main point is for them to love learning, to learn some skills, the biggest things when they leave my house is I want them to be able to self-regulate. And I think this preschool time, the way I have it set up, helps teach them that, helps teach them to learn to sit down, what manners are like, you know, how to listen, how to follow instructions, how to keep our hands to ourselves. Those are all crucial skills for school and life, way more than the ABCs and all that stuff that they can learn, but they need to learn those things. And I think having a shorter preschool time that, you know, has these different things we're doing really helps them learn these skills that are so important. So I will have already looked at my curriculum guide, and I have this cart where I have everything set up. So I will show you guys that. I've done lots of videos showing this, but I have this bin on top that has all of the stuff for the month that I've kind of separated. So when it's time to plan for the week, I can just pull it out of here. And then I have this cart. It is a scrapbooking cart. I will link it below, but there are 8 bins. So I have Monday through Friday, and then I have a resources bin. So usually on Thursdays, I do some kind of open-ended activity like Play-Doh or Crazy Craft, where I just put out like random materials and glue and scissors and markers or colored pencils or whatever, and just let them do whatever they want. Or we do sensory bins or something where it's like I don't have to be involved at all really. It's just process oriented. So I'll have them do that, and that's when I try to get all the kids involved, even the little ones. And then I'll I'll stand back at my desk over here and I'll go through and I'll fill the bins for the next week, which is really easy because I just plan it all for the whole month. The curriculum guide makes it really easy. I know exactly what to pull out. There are pictures. It takes me maybe 20 minutes per week. I pick out all the books, all the question of the day, all the face cards, all the line leader names, and I put them in here. So I just want to give you an example of what a bin looks like. So here's Tuesday for next week. I've got our emotion card. Our question of the day is in Monday because they're double-sided, so I'll just flip it over. We're going to be learning the letter F that day, so I've got our F cards, our song that goes with the letter F. I've got our 3 books, and then I've got our craft. So we'll be doing F is for fire that day. And then somebody else asked, when do I use the workbooks? So this is what the workbooks look like. There's one for each child, and they have a place to write their name, draw a face, and then it basically, you know, there's the colors that you're learning, the weather, and then there's a page for each letter that you're learning that month, each number, and then like the shape. So what I do whenever we're learning a letter, we just do the page for that day. Whenever we're learning a number, we do a page for that day. So we usually learn 3 numbers and 3 letters in the weeks or in the month, so that's 6 worksheets we're doing a month. So it's not like a crazy amount of worksheets. Sometimes if we don't have a lot to do that day, we'll practice writing our name. And some kids, I kind of scaffold it. So like Celia knows how to write her name, so I don't write it for her. Some kids don't, so I will write it and then they'll trace it. Same thing goes for the letters. Some kids don't know how to write their letters at all and need to learn how to trace them. So that's what I do. So we're not doing tons of worksheets, about 6 a month. You know, it's not that big of a deal. So that's when we do them, is when we're learning that thing. That's when we do the worksheet. And then we do the craft. Sometimes we do a game, just depending on what's in the curriculum for that week. Like, I don't know where I put the pieces, but we just learned about we're learning about farm animals right now. So we had baby animal cards, and I had the kids each draw one and then match it to the animal. And then we talked about what colors are they? What other colors can that animal be? What sounds do they make? You know, can they grow horns? Can they not? What do they provide? Is it milk? Is it meat? Is it wool? Like, so many different things we talked about from this one game. So I just try to have them be kind of conversation starters with the kids. So that's what we do at the table typically. And then, you know, if they're done early, they can leave the table. If they're just not feeling it, they can leave the table. If they want to keep going, they can keep going. But usually right now we're trying to get outside because it's still decent outside. So that is basically my preschool time in a nutshell. I'm going to answer just a couple other questions that I didn't address yet. Somebody asked, do you try to fit more in for days you had to close, or do you just discard unused activities? So I actually don't really go by the FUNSHINE layout of the month. I try to loosely, but we have, you know, like I said, Thursdays we do an open-ended activity. So we do circle time, and then we just do an activity that's Play-Doh or, you know, experiential or open-ended activity. So I don't follow FUNSHINE on that day really. And then you know, some days we have stuff going on, some days I'm closed. So I just lay it out depending on my needs, and we don't do every single activity in there. I just kind of do what works for me, and I love using their crafts and their materials, but I just kind of take it and roll with it in my own way and try to be more flexible with it. So do I fit it in on other days? Yes, because I look at my calendar and I see where we can fit everything in. We typically do the letter of the week on Tuesdays because that's when everybody is there. Including the kids who go to preschool. They are there on Tuesdays, and I want them all to get the letters done because they're just really fun to take home and like hang up on their door, make a book out of. So I pre-plan in advance what I'm going to be doing all the crafts. So yes, I fit them in, but it's not like I'm cramming in, you know, if I'm closed 2 days, I'm not cramming 3 crafts in that next day. I just fit it in when I can, and sometimes I do discard a couple But FUNSHINE usually has, I think, one craft a week that they don't provide. It's just suggested materials. So that kind of helps with not having a surplus of crafts left over. And then somebody asked, do you do preschool with the kids Monday through Friday? I do. Do I feel like doing it every single day? No, but I find it's 45 minutes where I'm ultra engaged with the kids. We're talking, we're chatting, I'm bonding with them, we're discussing, whereas throughout the day, like, there's so many distractions, diaper changes, kids crying, going outside, coming inside, cooking. Like, I just think this is the best time that I'm really tuned into the kids. So I think it's so important in that aspect. It's also so good to have a routine and structure, so they just get into the swing of it, they expect it. So if we don't do it, they're kind of like, what's going on? And it goes by so quickly, and it's just like a wonderful learning activity, and the parents expect it, and I love taking photos of everything we do, and it just really shows the quality of my program. And I post it in our Facebook group every single day, in my private parent Facebook group. So yes, I do it Monday through Friday. I do not do it over the summer though. I try to do a lot of activities outside, like process painting and just all kinds of activities so that are outside, so we're not staying inside so much. So in the summertime I don't do it, but during September through May I do. I think that's all the questions you guys had. This ended up being longer than I had anticipated, but I wanted to make sure I really covered everything as far as preschool time goes. If you have any other questions, make sure you head over to our community tab, since YouTube has disabled our comments, and you can find the thumbnail for this video and comment there, and I will be sure to answer any of your other questions there. And if you have any other daycare related or just mom related videos you want to see from me, let me know that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.